You
Are
moving
you
to the
allowed
United
to
States?
tell where you're
Roman?
going yet?
Ben, they won't let me in America.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to go there right now. I love you guys, but I'll wait.
No, yeah. I'm trying to move out.
I'm actually I'm just here to I'm here to hijack Ben's tasting is all I'm here for.
To return the favor.
We figured.
Yeah. I'm actually moving to the estate, dude. I'm gonna live at White Park.
Oh wow.
So
Farther away from the beach.
yeah, but Gordon has like a whole encyclopedia of work he wants to dump on me, and he can't really do it if I keep living.
Well, you should probably barter for some pretty special bottles and make sure they stay in your apartment or in your office.
I know, right? Well, I moved up all my bottles last week, and I'm like, he's like, "What do you got there?" I'm like, "Nothing. Just don't even look at my bottles," because I have a lot of stuff that I don't think he realizes I have.
And you have lots of guest rooms there on the estate for all of us, I heard.
What's that?
Lots of guest rooms on the estate for all of us.
Yeah, dude. I have a lot of camping areas too, so you can all bring a tent.
We can all camp in the cane fields.
Yeah.
Hey, be careful what you ask for, Jay. That sugar cane doesn't cut itself.
I'll earn my keep.
Right. And unlike the French, we actually work hard in Jamaica, you know.
Oh, it's already started.
But we pay our people in France.
Oh, ouch. How do you change your background on this stuff?
I don't know. Figure it out. Like this webinar is not about Zoom. It's about rum.
Yes. We'll have a separate one to add through the.
I know. I've never done it before, but okay. I'm going to mute myself and let Ben talk.
No, this is better. I think everyone wants to see Zan and Ben go back and forth, just dropping shade on each other.
Just banter? just witty, playful banter?
Ben giving Zan tech support. That's what this call is.
Yeah, I'm here for moral support. Everyone's already probably like, get the fuck off of here, man. Come on. Yeah. But anyways, once I mute myself, Ben is going to talk for about 6 hours straight. So good luck to you all. Godspeed.
I have a reputation to uphold. I know.
On that note, I'll welcome everyone to the call. Thank you so much for joining. We have our fantastic guest, Ben Jones, joining from not Martinique, but he's hoping to get back there soon, and St. Lucia. So I'll let him take it away because he's got a full boat, and I don't want to take any more of his time. So go for it, Ben.
Right on. Well, thanks again, Jay, and the entire Florida Rum Society for inviting me to come on and join you guys this afternoon. As I was saying to Jay before everyone came in, we were just chatting via email a couple of days ago about what you guys wanted to kind of cover and look at and talk about with our rums and our portfolio, and kind of what you guys have done with some of the other fabulous producers, like from Jamaica. So, I mean, like, it was, I of course, in typical Trader J style, we want it all. So I'm gonna keep it free form and casual, but I got a lot to go through and cover, and so we'll just see how the conversation goes, and I'll probably jump around and skip around, and I'll try to keep it visual and try to, if I could possibly do it, put us all on a catamaran and bring us to Martinique and St. Lucia and try to share some of the rum as well as the culture of both places. And as I bring up culture, when you come to Martinique, if you come to anyone's house, or even when you check into your hotel, or if you start any sort of type of occasion or reception, it is absolutely ritual. It's customary to start with a tea punch. And so Jay was all about that, and said that most of you guys, or probably all of you guys, have a bottle of agricole rum and probably some sugar and some lime. So we're going to start by making a tea punch together. I know, Zan, I don't know what you got going on over there, but you can just follow along as best you possibly can, because it doesn't work with Worthy Park. Sorry. But we're gonna do rum agricole tea punch, and I'm gonna basically show you how it works in Martinique. It's a little bit different than most people see in the U.S. And basically, I was first exposed to this cocktail when I was very young. It was on my second trip to Martinique, and I was really taken away, not just because of the rum and the cocktail, but just how I could see how it integrates with the daily life in Martinique. And I've really just been super passionate about French Caribbean culture, and to my family, you know, lifeblood, what have you. So, you know, it's something that I've been always personally really connected to. So without further ado, let's make a tea punch together. I'm just going to adjust my camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. Sorry guys, you see me, I'm at my desk. I'm on my computer. Last week when I was on, I was at home, but it's been a long day so far. So I'm going to be making tea punch at my desk, which is always the best way to work. Here, this is typically customary what you get as a presentation in Martinique. You can order a tea punch at the bar and the bartender can make it for you, but typically when you go to a restaurant or somebody's home, you get some sort of bar service or platter service like this, some fresh cut limes, and then you might have sugar, natural raw sugar or sugarcane syrup. And then you can even have your choices. You know, I've got jam sugarcane syrup. My favorite is the Clement with the spices.
Are those syrups in Florida? Do you know, Ben?
The jam syrup is the Clement syrup we discontinued in the U.S. market, but I made sure to keep about 60 or 70 bottles for myself because I just love this stuff. And you know, the difference between the Clement and the jam, that Clement one has spices macerated into the syrup. It's got cinnamon, clove, and vanilla bean into it. And you know, I don't know, it didn't work super well in the US. I think that people just wanted pure sugarcane syrup without the flavoring. And so, and we had two, and the jam one is totally natural, no spices to it. So people can do what they want. So we got the limes, we got the two different types of sugar. I've got the jam white rum here. I also have Clement, the Crème Bleu, the single varietal blue sugarcane. You can also use like gold rum or even an aged rum. And, you know, I don't use a lot of lime in my sugarcane. I'm sorry, I don't use a lot of lime in my tea punch. I like it dry or tea punch sec. But I would tell you that if you use lime, but you're going to use in aged rum, I would go less, the older the rum, the less citrus. And it's the older rum, the less citrus, and just let the sugar play. That's really just a point of view. But I'm thirsty. Let's get this going. I've got my cutting board. We're going to cut a lime coin. So we're just going to slice. We're just going to slice this coin right off of the side of the lime. The idea is to try to get about 50% zest to 50% pulp. You want a nice lime with thin skins, with, you know, some meat on the bones there, but they're thin skins, and then really get the pulp, and it's the oils and the citrus that you really want. And so when I was very young, I was starting making tea punch for my mother when she came home, and she taught me this way. We didn't have jiggers and bar tools at home. She told me to cut the lime like this, squeeze it like a taco. These are literally words that came out of her mouth, and really express all the juice out there, and leave all the oils. And then try to get that taco upright. There we go. And then, well, for those of you at home, I don't know if you have sugar in the raw or if you have syrup. I'll use syrup here. You can also use sugar. I also tend to like to use sugar because you can really control how much sugar that you want to dilute in the cocktail just by when you're swizzling it, because, you know, you can swizzle it, and if you leave a few little granules of sugar, that's nice, because then you can sort of like swirl it around and let that happen naturally. But anyway, for this one, I use the syrup, and then let's use some rum. So I got the lime. I filled my little taco with syrup because that's my proper measurement for making my tea punch. And then I'm going to fill the glass right to the top lip of that lime. And these are very technical measurements that my mother taught me. But that is the ideal measurement that I'm sticking with, filling my taco with sugarcane syrup and filling my glass right to the top. And now I've got a nice perfect pour. And in typical Martinique fashion, customary in older generations don't use ice. So I'm an avid drinker of tea punch without ice. Every once in a while, I like to drop a nice large cube into it. And for me, like, the tea punch is it's basically like if the daiquiri and the old fashioned had a baby. that's what you're getting here. And it's very, very simple drink. You can see three ingredients, but wonderfully sophisticated, really, because of the spirit. The vegetal cane distillate, the agricole really comes through. Voila. Santé, everybody. Cheers.
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 Man, who's that sexy dude behind you?
Well,
Cheers.
I wanted to feel like I was with Ben, so I'm in his kitchen.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting down and Ben's standing up, so that's why you can't see his face right
No, you're standing up.
You know, it's true. I'm standing up
Standing up.
on a chair, and Ben's sitting down on a stool, and he's just really tall.
That's really creepy that you have a random picture like that of me in my kitchen.
So Ben,
Man, we got to talk after this, man.
oh Ben, we have a whole program. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I see that.
You see Maggie's background?
I see that one, but the one in my kitchen is a little creepy, dude. One in sugarcane fields, I can understand where that one came from.
I know. I was trying to adjust it, but I was like, it's actually creepier if I cut off his head. So.
Oh, yeah.
Here, no, I'll go creepy. I'll go really creepy. There we go.
That's fucking creepy. I can't even find that. How did you find it?
That's Ben's cat, everybody.
That's funny.
Some people might have helped me out.
Oh, man.
Is there a story?
Anyways, keep going, Ben. We're not throwing you off your game. It's fine.
I'm not off my game. I'm drinking my tea punch. I'm rounding second base. Anyway, how's the tea punch going over there? You guys all, I hope most of you have a tea punch and we can really start the program off right.
And you said ice is okay, but not always.
Ice is totally fine. I mean, ice is absolutely fine. I mean, it might chill down the drink if that's what you feel like doing, or you want a little bit of dilution. Absolutely, it's fine. I mean, it's definitely more. I see ice more customary in the bars around the United States that are serving tea punch. It's amazing to be in 88 degrees and 80% humidity, and the most thirst quenching cocktail you could get is a tea punch. 100 proof rum at ambient temperature. Nothing better, honestly.
Is it like you get scoffed at if you're a Martinique and put ice in it, or is it just like?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that kind of has been stained in my brain was like that experience that I was talking about before, when I really sort of saw how it was really so customary. Like, you start like an aperitif with the tea punch, and then and my mother took ice in it, and my uncle sort of snickered at her and gave her this face and said, "What are you, like, Guadeloupean?" and it's a total dig on Guadeloupe. And so I'm never from that day I was like, I'm never putting ice in my tea punch. I
just completely
can't handle that kind of heat right there. So we're in tea punch. We might as well start in the land of agricole rum. As I was saying earlier, we've got a ton of different materials we'd love to share with different people, and there's a lot to show you, and I know you guys are all interested in lots of different rums, so I've kind of got a bunch of things kind of minimized, and I'm going to kind of jump around, and we'll see how the conversation goes. I made my tea punch with JM. I'm also really proud that our team down in Martinique put together some awesome video footage of our distillery, so I'm probably going to lean heavier on some of the jam content just because it's really fresh, and the new video content is really cool. So I'm excited to share that. But we're going to jump around, and then we'll end up over in St. Lucia towards the end, and maybe even talk about some cool stuff we're doing with barrel programs and blending and what have you. So am I okay to share my screen, Jay?
You should be good to go. And then just like every other time, guys, feel free to throw any questions in the comments in the chat, and we'll work them in for sure. Or if you want to ask your question verbally, just shoot me a chat, and we'll stop Ben from rambling like Zan likes to stop him.
Right on. Right on. So this is Martinique. I mean, this is the JM distillery over here in the top right, and the Clement distillery in the bottom left, and some sugarcane in our barrels and whatnot. Martinique is a French Caribbean island between St. Lucia and Dominica. And rum jam, I just try to, if you can see the map of Martinique, rum jam is in the far northernmost tip of the island, right at the foot of the volcano Mont Pelé, right on the backside. And then this little yellow circle over here is Le François. That's the central Atlantic coast where Habitation Clément is. So just to see the two independent different distilleries. And that's important because there's not only microclimatic effects that come upon to the sugarcane and how and which leads to some decisions on distillation and what we're doing with the rum, but also there's some sort of time-honored expertise and traditions that stay within each distillery. Now we are now the same company, but we keep them independent. Now, of course, we share a lot of intelligence and whatnot, but we do like to keep the brands, keep their respective DNA and ethos and heritage to it. We did the tea punch. I showed you the lime coin. You could use sugarcane syrup or the natural sugar and use your favorite rum, but it has to be agricole rum. It's really, truly not a tea punch if not. And I know you guys all know about rum, but agricole rum from sugarcane juice versus traditional rum made from molasses, the traditional method. Basically, traditional rum now accounts for about 97% of all the rum produced in the world, and then agricole rum is about 2.5–3%. And one of those cool videos I told you was coming up. That's our new distillery. Well, not new, it's an old distillery, but we've spent the last 7 or 8 years over the course of every year doing a lot of renovations to improve our ecological impact as well as overall production and efficiencies. You can see the cellars there. So that's just a quick overview of the distillery, Rum Jam Distillery.
You guys do tours, Ben?
Absolutely. It's actually the only distillery on the island that it's free entrance, free admittance to the distillery. And you can have a personal guided tour, or you are also welcome to, go on your own, but you won't have anyone there to explain what's going on.
Makes sense.
We have our sugarcane AOC laws that we cut the sugarcane and the same day it must be crushed to preserve the freshness. We are very, very proud of our sugarcane. We have unique varietals of sugarcane. All of this falls under the AOC. The AOC regulates, the land where you can, which lands, which parcels of land based on really soil composition and the resilience of that soil, of that literally the terroir of that parcel of land, how resilient it is to the weather and climatic features that can, have a negative effect on sugarcane, like wind and rain. So the sugarcane that we choose has to be very resilient to storms, but also to rats, to mice, to vermin, to whatnot. We are totally not allowed to use any herbicides or pesticides with our sugarcane. It's basically on its own. And so the sugarcane that we're using is really obviously for the floral and aromatic and flavor quality that we want, but also has to be chosen to that how it's going to perform and grow and mature and be resilient to all the other outside effects. And more video. So that's how we harvest. We do at JM and Clement, we are almost like 99% totally mechanized harvest. These are John Deere sugarcane combine harvesters that we buy from a dealer in Lafayette, Louisiana. And you can see that there's a tandem team of workers where they're cutting the sugarcane. There's a tractor following it, collecting all the sugarcane, and we fill up that trailer in about 15 to 20 minutes. That trailer is carrying about 2.5–3 tons. And for us, because it's all estate-grown sugarcane, the sugarcane's right there, we can deliver the sugarcane within an hour of when it's cut. So when we cut the sugarcane, if we're cutting sugarcane today, within an hour it's crushed, fermentation starts. And when we get into fermentation, I'll tell you how long it is, but you'll see how rapid we're able to produce rum directly from fresh pressed sugarcane juice. 95% of all the sugarcane today is cut mechanically. It's obviously it's better for the labor force, as well as we have a commitment to bring that sugarcane as quickly as possible to the distillery. The only places we don't cut with a tractor is where it's very, very steep, where the tractors really can't go, and that's it. So it's been since the early to mid 90s that the island of Martinique kind of slowly transitioned, all the producers transitioned to this way. There are benefits to mechanized harvest, and there are benefits to cutting by hand. There's strong arguments on each side that are completely valid, but this is definitely the preferred way in Martinique. Fermentation it's a little bit different between Clement and JM. This picture is taken at JM. We have, between the two, Clement and JM, we have committed to 24 hours to 27 hours of fermentation. Really what we're trying to do is we're trying to lock in to find a way to get to getting a sugarcane wine that's about 4.5% ABV. That has been decided upon by the master distiller, that that master distiller is looking for specific flavor profile, acids in fermentation, but also that sugarcane wine needs to be compliant to the Creole column that we're using. So it's very important that we can marry up and match up the ABV and the profile of that sugarcane wine, so it can go through the still and extract and get the desired flavors that we're looking for. So time and temperature and ABV is very, very important into the fermentation process. For the AOC, the maximum is that it's allowed is 120 hours, and the maximum ABV that we can get is 7.5%. So while we have very strict rules and regulations and standards of quality that the AOC, asks for from all the producers, there still is a lot of poetic license between all the producers to use the cane varietals they want and fermentation techniques they want, but it has to be, it has to fit within a certain standard, so we are able to deliver a specific traditional flavor profile that people can truly identify as Martinique rum agricole. And so here's some pictures of the JM fermentation. It's all open top fermenters. You have fresh sugarcane juice coming on the bottom right corner, and then the open top fermenters on the top right. And you can we have all these different pipes going from, so that's sugarcane juice to sugarcane wine to fresh distillate. It's a maze of pipes going throughout this small little building. We have now 2 Creole columns. The picture you see there is the original old Creole column. And then you can see just a little bit on the left, the newer column that we put in 4 years ago. It's quite literally double the size in diameter, as well as not quite double in height, but quite a bit larger. We're distilling actually JM is distilling at about 72%, and Clement is closer to 74, 75%. Again, that's where that poetic license comes in. The AOC requires 65 to 75, and so all of the producers in Martinique are distilling between 65 and 75. It's a Creole column, single column distillation, so it's single distilled, and so it's coming right off. That's what this young lady is doing, is she's taking samples of the fresh distillate right off the column.
Hey, Ben, I got a question. Are the AOC regulations restrictive to innovation, or is there just enough room for people to know what you're doing to do within the guidelines and stay as agricole?
I mean, that's a great question. Restrictive to innovation, well, to a limit, yes. However, all the producers are fully welcome to make whatever rum they would like. They just can't put an AOC on it.
Gotcha.
So JM and Clement and other distilleries have non-AOC products because, a big part of the AOC actually you know, you can follow all these rules and regulations that I'm outlining for you, but at the end, it all has to go, it goes to a massive tasting committee. Every single, like 6 bottles from every single lot number, every batch go to the AOC. And if we've done everything totally correct and they don't find the typical character and flavor profile of our rum to be of AOC quality, then they can reject it. Now, what happens, like if you want to put your rum and finish it in a, I don't know, in a sherry cask, and it has sherry flavors, automatically that throws off the fact that it doesn't taste like Martinique rum. So they might flag that and say that's not AOC rum. But by the way, that rum is absolutely fucking delicious. So you might just put it out there anyway, and you put it under your brand. For example, JM does a cask finish program with specifically other French producers. We do a cask finish program with Le Comte Calvados, with Dilema Cognac, and with Thierry Armagnac. And you know, those are all rums that were aged 8 years in our own cask, and then we brought in those other casks that I just mentioned, and they were all finished for 10 months. And they don't have the standard traditional flavor profile of an aged agricole, but we're very happy with the product, and we make very limited amounts of it, and people are very happy with it, and they're not so concerned that it has an AOC or not. That's simply that.
That sounds amazing. I want some. Brock, order some of that.
You know where my head's always at.
And Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but also even amongst the AOC products, there's still enough variation because of terroir and different things like that in Martinique. Is that correct as well?
I mean, absolutely. I think that you know, we are all offspring from the same family in agricole, but everyone's very unique, and I would say that that uniqueness can come from the varietals of sugarcane that are chosen, which may, if you're on the western side of the island, where it's a lot hotter and a little bit more humid, where you don't have the sea breezes coming off the Atlantic Ocean, so you don't have the brininess coming through, like you might use a different type of sugarcane varietal, and you might be working with a different, smaller growing environment, or you might choose to have a longer fermentation, or you might, you know, choose to distill you know, at 68%, and you might choose to do something different with your barrels. I mean, we can use oak barrels, but they can be American oak and French oak, and they can have different char levels. And so I think that there's enough within the AOC to make different products, but what needs to be unmistakable is like whatever you have when you have an AOC rum in your glass, it has to be unmistakable. Like this is rum agricole. Like you know, you couldn't do a pineapple flavored rum agricole. Let's just say, just not going to happen. You can't add sugar to rum agricole. It doesn't taste like it. Go ahead, be my guest, do so, and put it out there and sell it. And maybe if you're really good at what you're doing, you'll probably sell a lot of it, but you just won't get the AOC on the label. Simply as that.
And I do have actually a serious question. The tasting committee, is that like complete, is that people who work in the industry, or is it like people representing the distilleries, or is it completely independent?
No, nobody represents the distilleries. There is, it's an independent committee, totally independent from any distilleries. I mean, they are locked in, and there are producers. Producers have representatives, not every producer, but producers can have representatives within the AOC to affect change and implement different ideas as far as if we're going to make any revisions and whatnot. But no, the tasting is a completely independent body. It's an independent group. It's not directly connected to any of the distilleries.
Cool, thanks.
So that's the new JM cellar that opened a year and a half ago. That's our master blender, Karine LaSalle. I have to be honest with you. This cellar was the way that was set up. That's really nice for show. And then the other cellars, we stack them high, and you got the barrels right on top of each other. That's Robert Pernet in the top right. He's the Clement cellar master, and you just saw Karine LaSalle, the JM cellar master. At JM, we're also doing our own charring, and so we can choose and customize our own toasts and chars, level of chars, alligator char, what have you. And Karine is very passionate about that because she's really a chemist, and she wants to. She's been really, augmenting and improving the blends and creating new flavor profiles and new complexities to really improve the aged rums and those are now coming into market as we speak. She's been with us now about 4 years.
Do you guys have a standard char that you go with?
Yeah, the standard has always been char 4, which I think it's like less or more 30 to 35 seconds of that toasting. Here it is right there. You can see it again in the bottom left. So that's always been the standard. So I kind of rifled through a previous slide, but I said that angel share there, it's like 8 to 9%. That's quite aggressive. I mean, it's pretty much similar around the Caribbean, but a little bit different from island to island. And what we do in French, it's a system called ouillage. It's like topping off. So when we are, we need to top off the barrels. What happens as you're aging and the product is evaporating through the barrels, it's creating more space, and the more space you get, it seems to accelerate the evaporation. So we need to top those barrels off to slow down the evaporation, but also to keep the full surface area of the rum against the wood. So once a year, we will top off those barrels, and basically, I don't know, to make it nice and easy, because I'm not a mathematician, if we take 100 barrels each year and we'll empty them into one large oak vat, and then we'll refill those same oak barrels, we'll only be able to refill, let's say, 92 barrels. And then those 8 remaining empty barrels will go to, and we will rechar those 8 barrels to whatever specificity we want. Like you said, Jay, that that standard char would be for our standard rums, what have you, and then those will be refilled with new white rum, new make, new age distillate.
I'm probably gonna cause a super crazy conversation, but I'm okay with it. Maggie told me just the other day that they do a 3. So what, and maybe Maggie can jump in too, but like a 3 to a 4, what are we gonna see in a difference of rum between those chars, or is it gonna be negligible?
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
No, I mean, I was just gonna say, I think that is a total personal choice, and that probably that choice has affected the fact that she's aging in Massachusetts and we're aging in Martinique. Like, that's my simple, quick explanation.
Yeah, so for us, because we get hot weather and then cold weather, a lot of the rum actually travels back and forth through the char. Whereas if the weather were more consistent, which I know weather all across the Caribbean varies very much based on like exposures and currents and altitudes, but they tend to have more consistent weather. So there's a little less actually passing in and out all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if the impact of our levels of char is actually kind of similar. Like Ben said, I'm in Massachusetts. But really, like, it's just a taste choice. It's just a style choice. There's no right or wrong. And because we use a lot of like brand new oak, for us, and especially that new American oak, we even do a couple number 2 char barrels to add like even more subtlety. So it's just about what someone wants. Would you agree, Ben?
I cannot disagree with you, Maggie, on this point.
There's an unwritten rule that you can't disagree with Maggie when it gets down to the technical things.
No,
that's very sweet.
No, that's totally fair, because honestly, Maggie, you're totally right. It's the hand of the maker. It's the hand of the maker. That's the master blender, or it's the distiller. Or, Maggie, I think I think Maggie also packs the cases too, and ships out the pallets. I think Maggie kind of does everything.
I put labels on, baby.
Yeah. So it's the hand of the maker. It's the choice of the producer, and I think you guys as rum enthusiasts are looking for that. What is the thumbprint? What is the signature? What is it that you like about that brand? And can you imagine, like, that's very hard for like somebody like Karine, who we were just talking about from JAM, who's rather new to JAM. She's been there for 4 years, and like I was actually on that slide actually, who she like replaced, and it was where was I? Right here, Nazaire Canetus. So now that we're on that, Nazaire, he has been the master distiller, technically in title is the master distiller, but between you and me, which you and, I don't know, there's 30 of us on here, he's officially retired, but he won't leave. And I say that in the most endearing way possible. Nazaire is literally a child of the Rum Jam distillery. His father was the distiller, so his father was the distiller for 40 years before him, and then he took over for his father, and he's been there for the last 45 years, and he kind of doubled as the distiller and the blender. Like Maggie, I mean, like you know, Jam has always been a very, very small distillery, and you know, he was doing both. And then Kareem came in when Nazaire decided to retire, but Nazaire has Nazaire didn't work with a computer or never wrote anything down. All of the recipes, all the blending, everything was in his head. And so it's been honestly all 4 years to extract all of his knowledge, all that stuff, to get that. And we need to preserve and respect and keep the flavor profile, the tradition, the heritage of Rum Jam, and it's there. And he still lives at the distillery. I mean, he's always had his house is there, and it's, you know, in his official retirement, he has the house and he lives at the distillery. And I love to share this story because it's really, I love this man. He's just so simple and great. And I was there about 1.5 years ago on a Saturday morning. I was like walking through the distillery, and he had a simple card table literally right in front of the still, and he had three of his best friends from the village come, and he's playing dominoes, or he's setting up a domino match. I'm like, what are you doing, Nazaire? What's going on? He's like, oh, he's like, every Saturday for, I don't know, 30 years I have this domino game, and it's because Saturday is I have to run the still, and so we just set up the dominoes, and so the game is here on Saturdays. And he's not really distilling anymore, but the game still is scheduled at Saturday at 10 a.m. every Saturday, and that's what he's doing. He's literally intertwined.
Yeah, that's the tradition.
That's what it is.
So can you get an invite to the domino game, or is it only amongst his friends?
I'm sorry? Can
you get an invite to the domino game, or is it kind of a closed game?
That's not a game that you or I want to play. That's a pretty aggressive game. Yeah. It's a pretty aggressive game, and it just gets more rude and foul after they get to the second or third or fourth tee punch. With Jam, we're very proud of the water. We use our own water source. It's a volcanic spring right at the top of our estate. And the water is totally unfiltered. It's really when we say it's a terroir-driven product or a product of origin, we're not always just talking about the sugarcane, we're also talking about the water. This is the water that feeds every need of water that we have for the distillery, for the operation, for everything. It is our water source for the steam, not only for production, but for the entire facility, but for the steam, and then as well as for the blending and reduction. And this water has a flavor, it has a body, it's kind of slaty and minerally. And it's, you know, when we had our Jam tea punch, and I had my Jam tea punch, and that was with the 100 proof, 50% of that was pure cane distillate, and the other 50% was this water that we're talking about. And I told you in the beginning, like, you know, we put a tremendous commitment into the ecological impact that the distillery is making. We do this both at Clement and Jam, but it's really visually striking to see what we've done with Jam. And there was a huge commitment on what we're doing with Jam because it is such a pastoral environment. You're literally way out in the rainforest, out in the country, far away from any sort of civilization, around the backside of the mountain. And so it's really important to protect and preserve that environment. So now, you know, particularly with the vinasse is a spent distillate coming off of the still. So that's it's spent sugarcane wine. So, you know, the pH level is very low. It's you know, it's totally disturbed. And before it used to go to a pond, it would be treated with lime and calcium and whatnot. And it would have a terrible smell as well. Now we've built these pools way up at the higher end of our estate, you know, and you can see amongst the sugarcane fields. So we're pumping that vinasse there, and we treat it. And what we're trying to get is we're actually extracting the water that can be used out of that for agricultural irrigation, which now we've determined that we're saving about 3.5 million gallons of water per year. And then the rest of it goes mixed as a compost with the bagasse, the spent sugarcane, for fertilizers for our banana fields and our sugarcane fields. this pool here, you see are lilies, and the lilies are natural organic filter. So the lilies will actually consume those acids and will naturally organically adjust the pH. So we don't have to now augment with chemicals anymore. It takes a little bit longer, but the lilies will do the job for us. And that's why we had to build those pools. And then in 2016, we brought in a new boiler. The technology that we're bringing to north of Martinique is quite striking. This boiler comes in, it's massive. It took a convoy to come from Fort-de-France up to Martinique. It took them 14 hours. They had to do it overnight. They had to close all the roads. And but it was very important because it comes with this catalytic converter. So now we are able to reburn all the smoke. So now what's emitted into the atmosphere is totally transparent, clear, like heat. And we're able to repurpose and get more power, more energy, more heat by reburning all of the smoke that comes back to run our distillery. So it's again a little bit, more. It's a little bit harder to get set up, but once we get it set up, it's been quite an effect. And so now when you come to the distillery, you won't see any sort of white smoke coming from the distillery. The idea is to put the distillery there, and if anyone's looking at the mountain, they shouldn't be able to see some sort of industrial activity going on. We try to preserve not only the visual beauty, but even the artistic beauty, audible beauty, and to keep what you see there like nothing else is going on.
On the chat, Ben, everyone wants to know why Filtered by Lilies isn't your entire marketing campaign.
I'm not the marketing director, so maybe I'm going to turn on the chat function. Oh my gosh, you guys are talking us up a storm here. All right, I'm going to keep this over here so I can at least respond a little bit.
When questions come through, I'll make sure that I call them out too.
Right.
Most of it's just Zan running his mouth.
The bagasse, which I was talking about before, that's the sugarcane. That's the spent sugarcane. After we use that for the energy, for the fuel, but we're only actually able to use about 30% of it. The other 20%, it goes into that compost that's mixed into that with that vinasse, and then the remainder, the last 50% of it, is sent off to a biomass energy facility. And then we are going to show you how we use that compost. So this is obviously after harvest. This would be going on in throughout June and early July. Our harvest season is in the spring. It starts middle of January and will be ending right about now, maybe the first week of June. And then we've gone further to make a larger commitment to this being environmentally responsible. So we don't have any plastic cups on the property, for our tasting room or anything like that. And all of the management are now driving 100% electric vehicles, and our parking lot is 50% for electric vehicles because there's rental cars now. About 25 to 35% of all the fleets of all the rental cars for in Martinique are also now electric. And now I can bring you to St. Lucia. But that was a little bit about rum agricole and actually mostly about rum jam. I spliced in rum Clement, but as I said to you in the earlier part, I'm very, very proud of all the new materials that we got from our friends at JM. So it made it easy to share with you what we're doing over there. And I take a pause here and see what you guys are thinking, what you're doing, any questions, comments.
Anyone want to throw out a question about Martinique before we move on to St. Lucia?
I was just gonna take over Ben's for a second and throw in there that the reason our campaign is not called Filtered by Lilies is because, as much as I probably shouldn't say this, we have a company that's basically auditing and categorizing everything that we do at Rum Jam right now to officially put together all of that information so that the goal is that we will have the official data to back up that we are the most sustainable distillery, and we can be like, take that, Patron.
So that'll be the tagline.
Take that, Patron. I like that.
Actually, I like that better. Take that, Patron.
At least it wasn't take that, Worthy Park.
No,
It
we
would
don't
never
have
be that.
I'm
I want to be
kidding.
careful how we say "take that Patron" in a liquor store because they already take enough.
Do people even, like, Brock, do people come in when they're looking for Patron? Do you have to tell them it's a tequila? Do you tell them which aisle to go to?
Well, okay, so I only put the green box behind my shelf because they don't steal the other ones. So to answer your question, they don't know that it's tequila. Like, they know it's Patron.
Yeah, it's a brand. All right, well, we are going to now jump on a little catamaran. And can you see my screen? Did I do that right?
Yep, you're doing great.
I mean, Zan, I need you, man. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, Ben, and I didn't want to publicly call you out for having the wrong view, but I sent
Well,
out a message.
I forgot to put my background of.
Okay,
I just got my humble office. Now Zan's cutest little daughter is stealing my show. It's like it's a family affair. Fantastic.
Welcome to my world. Ow.
Ow! I know. I feel it. It hurts. Harsh.
Oh, they're so cute.
All right. Well, we're going to jump on a little catamaran. It's only 32 or 33 nautical miles south of Martinique, but it's really truly a worldly different culture, socially, economically, but also let's talk about the rum, which really is really different from all the rum we were just talking about. So St. Lucia is just south of Martinique. We're basically in the far southeastern corner of the Caribbean. It was French, it was English. In fact, it spent some time being Dutch. I believe it changed hands between, I think it changed 14 times between 1660 and 1812. I think it changed 14 times between like maybe 4 different colonizations. Poor St. Lucians. Particularly at St. Lucia, 1931, Dennis Barnard builds a distillery in Dennery. And Dennis Barnard's family moved from England to St. Lucia in the mid-1800s and were sugar planters and were exporting sugar, but it was Dennis who built the distillery on his family sugar plantation at the ripe age of 21 years old in 1931. Without getting too deep into the sugar crisis in the Caribbean and whatnot, but like everywhere, the sugar industry was failing at this time period throughout the Caribbean. St. Lucia wasn't a huge economic contributor to the sugar industry or the rum industry. We were very small in that, but it still had the same effect. And so what did happen is that the last sugar refinery closed in 1962. Or they stopped growing sugarcane in 62, in 1962, and then in 1972, and in between, the remaining rum distilleries had to close because they couldn't bring in molasses, like they couldn't figure out how to get their raw material to them, and it was quite complicated. But then finally, in 1972, the last 2 rum distilleries that were able to make it decided to merge, and when they made that merger, it was the Dennery Distillery and the Roseau Distillery, which was in the Roseau Valley, and they formed St. Lucia Distillers, which was in 1972. St. Lucia Distillers is probably one of their most proudest moments, particularly for our concerns, like outside of St. Lucia, was in 1999. Laurie Barnard, Dennis's son, launched Chairman's Reserve, and since then, Chairman's Reserve has really been the sort of ambassador of St. Lucian rum to the world. And then in 2016, we got involved and we've been developing the rest of the brands that they were already doing that were already really locally available in St. Lucia. So now we have in the United States, Admiral Rodney and Bounty, as well as Chairman's Reserve, and we were able to extend the lines and play with some of the assets, what they're doing with all the different sort of aged rum collateral and assets that they have. And I'm very excited what we're doing today, and I'm even more excited about what the future holds for tomorrow, for sure. And this here is really the ethos. This is the DNA of St. Lucia Distillers, brought to us by Laurie Barnard. So this is Dennis's son. He became managing director of St. Lucia Distillery in 1979, and then really started to put his kind of hand in the cookie jar with the rum shortly thereafter. And he kind of, I always explain Laurie as a man way ahead of his time. He's really a visionary. You know, at this time throughout the 80s, a lot of rum distilleries were switching over to multi-column distillation and trying to make rum as efficiently and as fast as possible. And it needed to be flavorless and odorless so they can mix it with a lot of different things, or they would add a lot of vanilla or sugar to it so you mix with Coke. Mr. Barnard was really not for this idea, and he kind of wanted to go back to yesteryear and play with pot stills and try to making rum the old way. And he was kind of seen as a lunatic because that was completely a 180 from the way the rest of the Caribbean was going at the time. And it took him a long time to kind of put this energy, put this together. One of the things that he did was in the early 2000s, he wanted to propagate his own wild cultured sugarcane yeast. So he got 2 varietals of sugarcane, the green cane and the blue cane, from Barbados, and planted it so that he could propagate his own let's say house strain of sugarcane yeast. Wild culture yeast is which is what we continue to use today for all of our fermentations. And we also do a small little run of St. Lucian sugarcane distillate with that. And then most, like 99% plus of all of the rum is made from molasses. We are now sourcing molasses primarily from the Dominican Republic, but the thing that we are holding strong to is that we will only source from Bon Sucro certified suppliers, and we found the best sources who are the most reliable. Let's say the most reliable sources are coming from the Dominican Republic, a little bit from the Central America too, slowly but surely. But Dominican Republic seems to have the most steady supply and the most reliability on the quality that we're getting. This is fermentation, so you can see the fermentation area. They are large open-top cement, open-top fermenters. We do use 2 types of yeast. We have our commercial yeast, our cultured yeast, but that's really for our high-proof spirit. We have a rum that's locally sold in St. Lucia called Den Ros, which is double the strength. It's released at 80% ABV or 160 proof. As well as we use that cultured yeast for our other rum spirit for our liqueurs, because we do some rum creams and what have you. But the Bounty, the Chairman's, and the Admiral Rodney are all using that wild yeast from the sugarcane that I was just talking about. And there's fermentation. And here we are in St. Lucia. It's a little bit different. Fermentation is averaging about 36 hours, and we're looking for a molasses wash of about 7% ABV. Water source. Water source is also important here. We have 2 water sources. We actually are collecting all of the rainwater that falls on the distillery. This rainwater is just simply goes through the RO process, reverse osmosis. So it's absolutely totally neutral, and it's basically used only for the steam that goes into the column still, as well as for a reduction in blending. But there's no profile, no aromatic, no flavor profile that comes into it. And then there is a spring-fed pond about 1 kilometer away from the distillery that we are sourcing water from as well. It's very nice water, particularly for fermentation, because it's very soft. There's very little calcium. This is the water that yeast love to thrive on. So the yeast are really thriving in their little jacuzzi of soft, nice St. Lucian pond water with the molasses. And I don't want to talk too much about yeast because I've got Maggie watching me too. So.
I am rooting for everyone in our family all the time. I love to hear you talk about yeast. I love it. It's good.
I love to hear you talk about yeast better than me. This is a picture coming down. So these are our pot stills. You can see sort of on the left side, our little baby John Doerr 1. It's 450 liters. It's a John Doerr is a well-known pot. Well, they make all different types of stills from Scotland. Originally they really made their fame with making stills for the Scotch whiskey industry, but this is a typical Caribbean double retort pot still designed for making rum. Then you have the Vendome there in the middle. Comes out of Kentucky. That's kind of a hybrid pot still. It's still classified as a pot still because it's single batch, so you're feeding the kettle on the bottom, but then you've got a column just on the top, which has 9 plates in it. But like I said, it's still classified as a pot still because it's single batch. Very, very interesting flavors. Personally, I don't typically share a lot with my personal opinions on my rum preferences and whatnot, but I absolutely am totally in love with the Vendome. Personally, I love the Vendome product that comes off of that, and I can pick out the Vendome in all of our blends and whatnot. So, Joe and Missy, I guess, have been there. And then just above it is a John Doerr 2. So that's a much larger, quite literally more than double the size of the, not more than double, 10 times the size of the John Doerr 1. And I think Brock will talk to us about some of the tastings that he went through, and I'm hoping that you guys, Maggie, coming out with some stuff.
Right, I'm watching, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. People want to, I'll let Brock go in a second, but people want to know about the Officers Reserve for Admiral Rodney. And also, what's this Ruby? What is it? I missed it.
The Ruby from, that's 1979.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me, what's your t-shirt say? Martinique, Demerara, Falernum, Pimento, Orange. Oh, that's a punch? You're talking about a punch?
It's a Mai Tai.
Yes, of course it is, because I'm a bartender. That's why I only make tea punches and old fashions.
Makes it simple.
And look at that, rocking that hat. It's a nice hat.
I love this hat.
Well, let's address some of those questions real quick.
So we'll start with the officers, Admiral Rodney officers.
All right, so officers release. Man, you guys they can't keep secrets from anybody.
This probably between these 22 people, yeah. We have it covered.
All right, so officers release is a some of my team is on this call and they don't know all of this stuff yet, so we're all going to learn together. Officers release is a project that it's still definitely in project phase, but we talked about this from the very beginning with Admiral Rodney with what we were going to do with this brand, because I love the brand. I think it's a jewel. It's completely understated. And when we got involved with St. Lucia Distillers, there was only one Admiral Rodney. And those of you guys that follow St. Lucian rum and what's going on and what have you, but there's an amazing vault of aged distillates in St. Lucia in these cellars that honestly the local people, even the producers themselves, even the blenders, I don't think really fully understood what they had at their hands. So, Admiral Rodney, again, for the brand and what we're doing, and by the way, the column distillates that they're producing, the way they're extracting the rum from the column at lower plates and creating all these unique flavor profiles and what they're doing with their aging program, it's amazing. I could go on for hours. Zan will testify. So we wanted to put something out there with Admiral Rodney. So you saw, those of you guys that are following Admiral Rodney, when we released Admiral Rodney, we did the Royal Oak, which is the original formula, original blend, which is in the middle tier. And then we did something a little bit younger, so it's a little bit less expensive to attract people to come to be introduced to Admiral Rodney. And then we also did something a little bit older as a blend, the Formidable, and we launched Amarani with these 3 products. But we always had the idea that if we were to do like a consistent sort of commercial cask program, not like a single cask program, but like a commercial cask program, like something that we would do kind of a limited edition, because we didn't have enough rum to like, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we wanted to keep it limited, and it had to be limited because we only had limited stocks of this stuff. And so what we did do is we took some 12-year-old rum, I believe, and finished it in port casks, and that's the officer's release. So the officer's release is going to become a series. This is total news for a lot of people. It's going to become a series. It is a series. The first series is 12-year-old column distillate, finished 9 months in port cask. And I'm just gonna share all the secrets. And if I see you guys on the social media atmosphere, I'm gonna burn down the Florida Rum Society. But we just had a meeting.
Oh God.
But I'm transparent, and I'm gonna share with you all the secrets. And so we just had a meeting yesterday that likely the second release, which I'm talking, the second release is gonna be probably a year and a half from now, unless you come to St. Lucian and get yourself a bottle. The second release will probably be finished in Irish whiskey casks. So you're always going to see Officer's Release number 1, Officer's Release number 2. We made 466 packs of the Officer's Release number 1. I'm literally getting 110 six-packs for the entire U.S. market. So that's like 660 bottles.
Brock's on it. Brock's ordering them all.
Yep. And then, and we just got yesterday or the day before, 24 barrels of empty Irish whiskey casks, and all the secrets are out.
So the first release will be very small, but each release will probably grow a little.
I don't know, Brock. I just told you I had the meeting yesterday.
I only heard bits and pieces. I heard my son was outside yelling at me to help him in Spanish.
So we're just kind of making up as we go along. But the idea was to do, like, we're going to have those core 3 Amaranis, and then we're always going to have this Officer's Release program, number 1, number 2, and we'll see how it goes. But we just brought in these Irish whiskey casks, and that was kind of the idea, because we knew we had access to them. We kind of have a partner with a distillery in Ireland to doing stuff. In fact, they're also aging Irish whiskey in Amarani casks, and we have a coordinated type of thing going on.
Awesome.
So that's why it's committed to that.
Can you say who your Irish whiskey partner is?
I don't think so.
I'm
not sure, but I prefer not to, because I'm not really sure. And
well, there's only a couple, so we'll narrow it down.
99% of the secrets here.
This meeting was one of those meetings that was supposed to happen in person, and we had a Zoom. They sent me some samples and what we're doing, and we're doing Zoom blending too. It's amazing.
All right. So when it's did we answer about the ruby? But then when it's time for me to talk about the barrel thing, we just slide it back to that slide that shows all 3 stills.
Absolutely. I mean, the ruby thing is, I think that if I understand you guys well, the ruby thing was the 1979 that was released last year. The Prime Minister of St. Lucia, so St. Lucia became fully independent from the United Kingdom in 1979. So last year in 2019 was their 40th anniversary. So the Prime Minister asked us to create a rum, a bottle, a blend to commemorate the 40th anniversary. So it's called 1979. It's kind of similar in way that we do the 1931, if you guys know about the 1931, which I wasn't prepared to talk about, but I can if you want to. And so there's like a heavy dose of port age rum. When I say port age, I'm not talking about finished. We had a lot of barrels that were supposed to be finished, but like they put the rum in and somebody forgot about them. And next thing you know, like rum has been sitting in port casks for 8, 9, 10 years. So beautiful, great rums, kind of sweet. So we've been, I was against doing like a sort of single cask program, even though a lot of people thought that was pretty cool. And maybe you guys think so too, but I found it a little bit sweet and almost too much port, but really great component to blending. And I want to say I'm not sure. I don't have the blend off the 1979, but it's pretty heavy. It's 30 or 35% of that port cask, and it's beautiful. But anyway, we made 1,979 bottles. 40 of them went to the Prime Minister. I brought 3 or 4 and I gave them out to the United Nations and to the ambassador here, and then they were basically just sold in St. Lucia and to a couple special merchants around the country. And I can also tell you that the next time you'll see 1979 come out is in 9 years for the 50th anniversary of St. Lucia's independence.
There you go. More breaking news here on the Florida Rum Society Virtual Happy Hour.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Brock. So we'll take Ben off the hot seat.
Yeah.
Let you talk about what you have upcoming, because I think that's a little less secrety.
So I put this slide over here for you, Brock. You can talk to us about what you chose.
Okay, so Chris Funk, if you don't know Chris Funk, he's on the call here. He set it up with myself, him, and Ben. It was probably my first Zoom, or my second Zoom experience, but after some technical difficulties, we went through a very intense tasting. It was 7 St. Lucia distillates and 4 Clement distillates. Sipping all of them, it was just out. It was an intense experience. It was awesome. All incredible things to be able to taste. So I ended up I'll just cut it short because it was so long of us talking and so much education about stuff. I'd only had Ed Hamilton's 7, 8, and 9 at that point, but I knew kind of what St. Lucia was. But then I still need to go back later and taste Chairman's Reserve and make sure that whatever barrel we selected was, a true expression of the brand. Wasn't far one way, because this is going to be the first single barrel release in Florida. As Ben said, his favorite is 100% Vendome. As everybody knows, got Ed Hamilton stuff. He loved the 100% Vendome. So we started off with number 1 was all coffee or Coffee still. And it was Spirits 2, I believe, if Chris can correct if I'm wrong. And then we jumped to number 5, which was Spirits 3, which are just taking off different plate levels. Those were tremendous. But having really liked Hamilton stuff, I chose one that was not 100% Vendome, but it was 50% John Doerr 1, which is the small John Doerr still, that 450 liter, and then 50% Vendome. Each one of those was then barreled for 3 years separately. And then after 3 years, they were combined and aged together 50-50 for 5 years. I think it's going to come out at a retail price around $50 for an 8-year-old St. Lucian. And I don't know, has anybody ever had a single barrel of this blend, Ben?
Not of this specific blend, John Doerr 1 and Vendome. We've done some Vendome and Column Still. Yep. And we've done some Vendome and JD2, but I don't. Yep. Yeah, this is the first time we brought JD1 and Vendome together. I'm sorry, at least in this in this cask release. The cask release is an intense debate and fight with the blenders down there.
I think it's spectacular.
We're taking their jewels away when we tell them that they can't blend it. Yeah.
So I've had plenty of other people taste it that agree. It's spectacular. At a $50 price point, it's incredible. John's asking, when do we get it? We're talking October, but we're talking if all things go well. What did Ben, you saying November?
I honestly, I'm not saying anything. I think, we're still on board for October, but with the way the current conditions are.
I want my new liquor store and the bar to be open when it happens too. So whatever happens, it'll all come together when it does. But I thought the blend was incredible. I tasted a Vendome 100% after that, really good. This one to me though, it was a slight variation. The price and the value and everything, I don't know. I think it's going to be incredible.
Well, it's going to be incredible. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
We can't wait for our inaugural bottles, Brock. The 21 people on the call.
All right. So after all that, I got to step away and pour a Chairman's Reserve Forgotten cask. But I need a little bit of ice. Actually, you know what? I'll stay here and go straight. All right, Ben, you're back up.
Oh no, I'm leaving it back to you guys. I mean, we can taste. I don't know. Well, you guys can't. I can taste all these different cool things that are coming from St. Lucia. I mean,
Brock said he needs 20 more samples of his barrel just to make sure that he's really sure that he.
I agree. If I get, you know, I think that what we need to do is all just jump on a flight and get down there.
That would be. I know the rum travelers would be the first one in line.
I think they've already been there. They were posting pictures of this stuff.
Yeah, we've been there 3 times. It's amazing. They do this incredible tasting, like that slide that Brock just showed, with all the different stills and the different barrels. Like they take you through each distillate, like unaged and then aged for a certain time and then blended. I mean, it blows your mind. It's amazing.
Right on.
So listen, the floor is open. Who has questions that or comments or smart aleck remarks? Dan.
Who likes spice rum? Tell me how passionate you are and enthusiastic about spice rum. Or is everyone so nerdy and geeky they won't even admit to that they like a little spice rum every once in a while? Or you probably haven't had a true, genuine, authentic spice rum before.
I kind of like the lemon heart.
Okay. I would say that fits into that definitely true, authentic spiced rum.
Ben, you ever seen this one?
Well, there's the Creole spice.
You got something. This is a real spice rum, not Captain Morgan.
No, that's the real deal. And that's the thing, like spiced rum, we didn't really talk too much about spiced rum, but spiced rum is also equally as important to the St. Lucia rum culture as the blending and the age statement, not the non-age statement thing I was talking about. But we are extremely proud of our spiced rum. We're extremely proud of the Bois Blondé, and really the fact, you know, all the natural ingredients are going into it. It's the real, you know, homeopathic and artisanal way of crafting spiced rum, you know, that people do in their home and you see in the open air market, and that's what you see in the Chairman spice and the Bounty spice. And that quail spice there, Missy, is now the same formula that's in the Bounty spice rum.
Now, if you go to St. Lucia, you can also get this kind of spice.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like bootleg. We bought this at a park. They're just selling it. It's got all kinds of sticks and leaves but that's how they make their spiced rum. They put like really.
That's how we make our spiced rum too, except we bottle it without the sticks and the leaves and all the stuff in it.
Right, you take the sticks out. Some people leave the sticks in. I don't know.
But yeah, no, you can come to this. Well, this part is not shown in the tour, but yeah, we've got like various like either 5-gallon little stainless steel maceration tanks up to like 20-gallon, up to even I think the biggest one is a 40-gallon. They're small little, like there's a myriad of like different stainless steel tanks where you'll find apples and prunes and cinnamon and orange peels and cloves and Bois Blondé and Calquin, and all of these ingredients are individually macerated because they all, you know, take their own time to do what they're doing, and then they're blended in with the base rum spirit.
So like all these little pop-up bars.
Oh my God.
yeah, we got that one too. So they take
Stop
that.
it, Missy.
That's that Denros right there.
We spent a lot of time in St. Lucia.
You know what? we're gonna turn this presentation over to the Rum Traveler, and they're gonna.
I'm coming over for the weekend.
All the 1931s are up there. I just didn't want to get the ladder out, but no, they take the
ladder.
The ladder, yeah. I'm not good on the ladder.
At the ladder.
That's amazing.
No, they take the Denros and the strong rum. It's like 160 proof, and they each like little local establishment, kind of like in Jamaica with the little bars, little roadside bars. St. Lucia's same thing. They take the Denros and they put their own blend of spices and fruits and what have you. So if you go to one of the little bars in St. Lucia, you know, you ask them for, let me have a sample of, you know, your local spice rum, and they'll reach behind that to something on the shelf, and then you say, no. under the counter? What's, down there? They're like, oh, you want the local stuff. And they'll pull out like a gas container of whatever, it's like, not diluted or anything like that. It's still 160 proof, but it's got all the spices and fruits and.
They'll have it in milk jugs and
Oh, yeah.
5-liter containers, whatever they can find.
Good stuff. St. Lucia's a lot of fun.
Missy and Joe, everyone's saying that we all aspire to need a ladder.
Someday.
It's not as magical as it sounds. It's actually really pain in the ass, but I will take it as the price to pay to have so many great rums.
You're right. You should get the escalator going soon as possible.
Or take all the stuff on the top shelf, send them to us so that you don't have to go up there anymore.
I'm trying to figure out some type of vending machine type system so it'll just bring it down for me. I haven't figured it out yet, but we'll work on that.
Just make it fancy and put one of those rolling like library ladders in there.
Everybody that comes here and sees the bar says the exact same thing. And we've looked into it, but our room has all these angles. You guys can probably get pictures. And we need like an architect, I think. Anybody on the call an architect? Want to help us out?
I build tiki bars. Does that count?
Yeah, we might take you up on that. We pay in rum.
I get paid in rum. That's fine.
Perfect. Deal.
Awesome. Well, unless there's I'll do a last call for questions, but I really feel like I learned a lot, and I've had some fantastic AM, little Admiral Rodney. I don't know what everyone else has been finishing up, but I want to definitely thank Ben. I know he has some other friends that joined the call, and to help with back him up. And I will definitely call out that it was great to get some inside information that we will not share.
Yeah, right.
These people. So, but we look forward to the day when we can actually purchase these new offerings. So thank you, Ben, for sharing with us for sure.
I'll just say that whole tea punch tray, like that just reminded me of like a tableside service of so many other things that are excellent. Like that got my blood flowing. I had to go make a tea punch.
All right.
Nice.
Well, guys, I really appreciate the time and letting you guys, or thank you for letting me ramble on. Drink my tea punch, and I'm just finishing up. I just did a barrel tasting just before this, so it allowed me to spill my secrets and open my heart to you guys.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Ben, and everyone on the comments. I know that everyone doesn't want to unmute their mic, but lots of awesome, lots of
thanks, Ben.
For more.
Thanks, Ben.
So, for sure.
Thank you, Ben.
Have a good night.
See you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.